Spider-Man 3 is the third Sam Raimi Spider-Man film. The sequel to the first two movies that were actually good. This one stars Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, Topher Grace, for some reason, James Franco, Thomas Hayden Church, Bryce Dallas Howard is in this thing, and J.K. Simmons. I had to look at a cast list to remember some of the names. Spider-Man 3 is basically about a whole bunch of plots. Now, he has to deal with Mary Jane because they're finally in a romance together. He has to deal with James Franco trying to kill him. He has to deal with Sandman, who is revealed as the person who actually killed Uncle Ben. And he also has to deal with the Venom stuff that gets on his suit and starts to turn him evil. That's basically what the plot is for this movie. So Spider-Man 3 is a movie everyone was hyping up so much because the end of the second movie was like, whoa, Spider-Man 3 is about to be a thing. Crap is gonna go down in this third movie. The first two movies were awesome. We saw it evolve from a fun, lighthearted movie to action-driven, emotional experience in the second movie. In this third movie, of course it was going to be good. Sam Raimi's directing again. It's supposed to have Venom in it. Sam Raimi making a movie with Venom in it. This movie's going to be awesome, but it's not. Spider-Man 3 is the first movie that showed us that 3 villains in a movie is not a good idea. This movie has way too many plots crammed together. It gets to the point where you're tired of watching this movie because of how messy it is and how many plots there are and how annoying it gets. Let's go through the cast again. Tobey Maguire is good in this movie, but it just there's something that happens later that I'll mention eventually that really makes you hate him and kind of ruins Tobey Maguire's performance in this movie. Mary Jane in this movie, she just ticks me off. I mean, Kirsten Dunst, yes, she's good in the other movies, she's good in this, her performance is good, but her character in this movie just ticks me off. She's just always mad at Parker, and their relationship is not going well, because Parker has a lab partner who's Bryce Dallas Howard, and she's Gwen Stacy, and he kisses her in public, and it makes Mary Jane angry, and she's starting to really hate Peter Parker, and we've already been through this. I mean, we've already been through their relationship problems in the second and first movie. We've already seen this, and in the second movie they showed that they were going to be together. They were all good now. And in the third movie, they're still having romantic problems that we have to deal with. Why do they have to cram this in with all the different subplots? The romantic problems in this movie are just so annoying. You don't care about it because there's the other plots you want to get back to. James Franco, I think, is still good in this movie. I think his performance is still good. But the thing that bugs me is that in the second movie, they're like setting him up to be a villain. They're setting him up to be the next Goblin, and he's going to go after Parker and kill him. But he's literally only a villain for like a little bit. And then he gets amnesia because they wanted to, like, I guess, focus on the other plots while he had said amnesia, so they could just go like, oh, let's put James Franco to the side for now. Because there's just so many villains in this movie that I think they just gave him amnesia just to put him to the side for a little bit as a character. This movie would have been better if they didn't focus on Venom yet. Save Venom for the fourth movie that was eventually gonna happen. They had fourth movie planned. Save Venom for that movie and put just Sandman and Goblin in this movie. Because I heard that was Sam Raimi's original plan, to just have these two villains in this movie, and it would have been better. Because it would have been a good revenge story between Harry and Parker, and they could have had a good dynamic in the movie, but it's just so rushed, and they just give him amnesia for no reason. It's so dumb. And Sandman, I think he's probably the best villain out of the 3 villains that there is. He is actually good. I still think it's kind of dumb that he's just like, oh, I'm not a bad person. I break the law because my daughter's sick, because that's the way I gotta deal with it. I'm not a bad person, even though I broke the law. My daughter's sick. That makes it okay for me to break the law. I don't like that aspect of his character. I don't like that he just broke the law and he was acting like it was okay. But I think his performance in this movie is good. I think he's really good. And the other thing I also don't like about Sandman is just the fact that he kills Uncle Ben. And he reveals later that it's just an accident that it happened because his partner bumped his hand. But I feel like the movie should have set out the whole Uncle Ben incident in the last movie with that great conversation between Parker and What's-Her-Face. It's like this incident didn't need to be explored more. None of this needed to happen. They should have had some better way for Parker to want to get revenge on Sandman. Overall, I still think Sandman is good, because you legitimately feel bad for this guy, even if the fact that he's like breaking the law for his daughter. I don't really buy into that aspect, but I still think his performance is good, and he's pretty awesome. He turns into like sand, and it's really cool, and I thought his action scenes were good. But by far the least of the three villains in this movie is Topher Grace. Okay, I'm sure Topher Grace is a good actor. I'm sure he's good in other stuff. But in this movie, what were they thinking? I mean, seriously, what were they thinking? Topher Grace is the complete wrong person to play Venom. Because in the comics, he was like a tough guy. He was muscular, he was intimidating, he was big. But in this movie, he's just a really weird nerd with angst and... an angsty nerd who's jealous of Peter Parker for getting good pictures to J. Jonah Jameson. It's just... and he's literally only Venom for like 2 minutes at the end of the movie, even though Venom is one of the best Spider-Man villains from the comics, and he's just there for 2 seconds. Bryce Dallas Howard is also in this movie. She's a good actress. I like Bryce Dallas Howard. She was good in Jurassic World. She was good in Shyamalan's The Village. I think she's a good actress, but in this movie, she's just a throwaway character. I cannot stand her in this movie. She's really just a character that Parker uses to make Mary Jane jealous when he's getting evil and stuff, and it's just... she's just... Gwen Stacy in the comics was Parker's girlfriend before Mary Jane, and she ends up dying in the comics. But in this movie, the character of Gwen Stacy is just some random girl that Peter Parker cheats on Mary Jane with. And the only thing that she serves is someone for Parker to make Mary Jane jealous. That's literally the only purpose of her character, and she's not good. I can't stand Gwen Stacy in this movie. Even J.K. Simmons in this movie is less funny. I mean, he only has one great scene in this movie, in my opinion. You want a staff job, and you want a staff job? Does anyone care about what I want? I do. Shut up. Get out. Everything else is just kind of either or not good at all. The scene with a little girl and he wants her camera to take pictures of Spider-Man, that's J.K. Simmons' last scene as J. Jonah Jameson. His last scene. Ever. It's just done. And it sucks. So one thing I absolutely hate about this movie is what everyone else complains about. Emo Peter Parker. When he turns evil, it should have been emotional, it should have been creepy, it should have been disturbing with the Venom stuff torturing him and addicting him, because that's how I heard it was like in the comics. And in this movie, he just turns into like a punk. He just gets emo and he's just like dancing around in the streets with jazz music playing. And yeah, Parker and Mary Jane break up again in this movie. They literally break up again! After the second movie settled that their romance was fine. They were going to be together now. And then the third movie, they just have romantic problems and they just break up. And James Franco forces him to. And he's just trying to make her jealous with Bryce Dallas Howard in the bar scene. Takes the nail, thrusts it into the coffin, and goes boom, 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 boom with it. This scene, there's nothing good about it. It's terrible. The music is just awkward and weird, and Emo Parker is just disturbing and strange and annoying and awful, and he just cheats on Mary Jane right in front of her eyes, just dancing with Gwen Stacy for no reason, and it's just so bad. Where do I even start with this scene? I mean, what does he hope to gain by just randomly making Mary Jane jealous? What does he hope to gain? What is his motive? I don't understand what he's thinking. And this is literally Bryce Dallas Howard's last scene in the movie. She's just like, oh, that was for her? What? What are you talking about? He's trying to make her... What? That line makes no sense because he was clearly trying to make Mary Jane jealous with that whole dancing thing. How would it be for her? And then that's literally just Gwen Stacy's gone after that. And after this crazy, ridiculous scene that I guess was meant to be funny, what was the intention with this scene? Was it supposed to be funny? I don't understand. And then like right after that scene, he punches Mary Jane in the face, and it shows a shot with him kneeling on a church. These tonal inconsistencies are insane. You can't just have a scene with Peter Parker dancing around in a bar with really weird, awkward music and then just have him punch Mary Jane and then kneel on a church. You can't put these things together so fast. It doesn't work. It just feels so off. And like I said, when Franco gets his memory back after his stupid amnesia thing he has for a while, he makes Mary Jane break up with Parker. Okay. My issue with this scene is that when they're on the bridge and she's about to tell him that, she's like, oh, we can't be together, I don't like you anymore, I've fallen in love with someone else. Instead of saying that, you could just be like, oh, Harry's going crazy, get on your Spider-Man suit and attack him. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. And I love how in this movie there's several scenes where Franco clearly would have died. You know, the first fight scene with him that's way overblown and way overdone and just ridiculous with him catching the ring in the air. It's just like... After that scene, he hits his head on a pole and then lands on a concrete floor and then he's still alive. And then later in the movie, after Franco breaks him up with Mary Jane, they have a fight inside of Harry's mansion and then Harry tries to throw bombs at him and then he uses his web and goes boom, right into Harry's face. He puts a bomb in his face and he's fine. He's still alive. Literally all they did was just like put a little bit of CGI on half of his face. He'd be dead, though. You can't just survive a giant bomb on your face. Spider-Man 3. I just have to talk about Topher Grace again because I absolutely hate him. He's just like, in the church scene, when Parker's trying to get the Venom stuff off of him with the bell off the suit, he's literally just like, God, I come here humbled. I want you to kill Peter Parker. I mean, he literally asks God to kill off Peter Parker. He asks God to kill off Peter Parker. He says he's humbled. He's just a whiny brat in this movie. Venom could have been an intimidating, tough, bad guy. But in this movie, Topher Grace is just a whiny little brat. It doesn't work. And when he finally gets the suit on him, he's like talking to Sandman. He's like, I want to kill the spider. You want to kill the spider. And the voice, it sounds so off. And when Venom is talking and Topher Grace's voice is coming out, it's just like... that's it. That what I just did. That sums it up. And something in the movie that's one of the things that don't make any sense because this movie had way too much crammed into it and way too much is happening and a lot of stuff was rushed. The butler goes up to James Franco after his head explodes and he's just fine afterwards. He's basically just like, the blade that pierced his body must have been from his glider. Your father died from his own hand. Why didn't you like say that in the second movie, you idiot butler? This is bad writing. I mean, Harry's been looking for Spider-Man for who knows how long. It's been happening since the second movie and the butler could have just said, oh, it wasn't Spider-Man that killed him, but he just tells him at the last second after his head gets exploded, and it's... And of course, this movie ends with Sandman and Venom kidnapping Mary Jane, because, you know, you can't make a Spider-Man movie that's not ending like that. You just can't. It's not possible. Actually, Amazing Spider-Man did that. They didn't have a damsel in distress be kidnapped at the end of their movie. So clearly they can. And then Parker defeats Venom with some metal vibrating poles. He just literally goes like bam, bam, bam with some poles, and I guess the sound kills him. The sound just like kills Venom, you know, because that's how it works. And Harry does end up getting stabbed by the glider from Venom, and it just feels, the death is just disappointing because you aren't really that sad, honestly, because of the plot being so stupid surrounding this movie, so rushed and so many subplots crammed into one thing. You don't really feel sad about Franco's death, honestly, because his reign as the new Goblin was just so lame because he had amnesia for most of the movie. So guys, obviously I don't like Spider-Man 3. It is one of the most disappointing comic book movies I think ever. I mean, there's way too much crammed into one movie. There's too many plots. It's so rushed. There's not that much humor anymore. Emo Parker is awful. Topher Grace is awful as Venom, and he only has like 2 seconds as the actual Venom. I think the one thing I would commend Spider-Man 3 for is that it has good action sequences. I actually legitimately enjoy the action scenes of this movie. Like the action scene with the sewer and Spider-Man fighting Sandman. That was fun. I really enjoyed that scene. And the climax, even though it's stupid with him having to vibrate the metal poles to kill Venom, that was kind of dumb, but the action scene itself isn't that bad. The action in this movie, I wouldn't say it's as good as Spider-Man 2, but I think it's pretty good. It's not really great, but it's pretty good. So with that being said, I'm gonna give Spider-Man 3 a D+. So yeah, Spider-Man 3, if you saw it and you like it somehow, you be sure to tell me why, because Spider-Man 3 is not a good movie. And I'm probably going to be reviewing Amazing Spider-Man next month, maybe. The first Amazing Spider-Man is a much better movie than Spider-Man 3. I'll just say that. I'm excited to review another good Spider-Man movie. And I decided, since I'm not doing well with my Batman series I started a while ago, I'm just going to do the Dark Knight movies after the first Tim Burton Batman. Because I already did the first Tim Burton Batman, I'm going to do the Dark Knight movies soon. I'm going to review the 3 of those before Batman v Superman comes out. Okay? Okay. Good. Be sure to like this video, be sure to subscribe, be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and yes, bye-bye.